Privyet, it's Influx, and welcome back to level 25. This week I'm delighted to introduce my guest, Betty B. Betty, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing just wonderful, Influx. Thank you again for inviting me to do the podcast.
Yeah, glad you could make it. One of the reasons that I wanted to interview you in particular this week is that qualifiers just closed, and
hmm
you scored a magnificent PB of a qualifier with a 16-3. Uh,
Yes.
so, how are you feeling about that?
Well, I will tell you that that was my PB for a qualifier for the actual monthly tournament, but I have done better than that, so I know I have a lot more to show people.
Mm.
But after getting that 16-3, everybody always tries to get for that level 17 sweet spot, where you're secure in your spot.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe not secure in future months, but at least for now, that would be secure in your spot. But when I got that 16-3, I was really excited to see that at least I maybe didn't have to worry so much on Friday evening of how many people were going to qualify last minute. So
Yeah.
I was definitely very happy.
Yeah, just short of that 17, but
Yes.
I think you
Oh,
definitely
I
have
could have
the.
had it. I could have
Yeah.
had it.
Uh, I was watching, and it was
Oh,
so
God.
close.
So you saw some of those missed drops, huh?
It happens, the
Oh, to the
nerves,
best of
the
us.
pressure, but you have the pleasure of taking on Floyd for round one. So,
Yeah, so me and Ibar had talked previously because up until that very last, I think it was Flindo who did his qual and ended up bumping me. It was going to be me and Ibar, and we have a really good, rapport. We do the verses and we do the speed running, and we're kind of on the same level. So
mhm.
we were already talking about how this was going to be a great matchup. We were going to give people a show, and and then that happened, and we were like, well, I guess I'll see you later. So, but no, it's just really awesome. The pairings each month are just always different because here's the thing. We have a month between last monthly tournament to this monthly tournament where we're getting better like consistently.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not the same person I was last month or when I first started. I used to be a person who played on only low, and only ever turned the pill in one direction. Okay?
Yeah.
I I came a long way from where I was. So I'm every time it's just something new and I look forward to getting better.
And I feel like that statement of improvement is very true for you. You haven't been playing this game super long, since May, it looks like, yeah?
Yes. So I actually found it. I'm pretty new to the scene as well, and it's kind of daunting coming into something that there's these established players,
Hmm.
and so you come in and you're like, okay, I know I'm not going to be able to play with the big dogs, but you just do it. And my first match in the tournament, I only got in, I think, because some like maybe five people dropped, or some
Yeah.
large number of people just couldn't come
Yeah.
that month, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do this. And I think my first one was against Frank. So
Oh, man.
yeah, just number two in the speedrunning scene. I I played against him, and I was like, wow, okay, I have a long way to go. But that's what you do is you just keep trying, keep doing it, and don't be afraid. The community overall is just full of people that want to help you get better.
Hmm.
And only so much as like maybe they're better than you, like only to that degree of where you start passing them up and they're like, oh crap, I gave too much, I gave too much of tips or whatever. But no, they're very welcoming. They're very helpful, and I just I've I've become friends, I think, with a lot of the people there to where I'll send them a message saying, hey, you want some verses? Or, we'll just chat offline about Dr. Mario, and it's just great. So,
Yeah. You talked about having rapport with Ibar. I think that you have rapport with just about everybody here. You are one of the uh, outgoing and friendly faces that
aw.
I think a lot of people have received compliments from you, I think.
Well, awesome. Well, here's the thing is, I say I am a fan of literally everybody in the community. Like there is something in each and every person that I've come across, like from the versus players to the speedrunner players that I want to emulate in myself. And that could be like a personality trait. The people that take this as seriously as it should be taken, because
Mm-hmm.
it is a thing to like it's like a sport. You just want to get better, you want to be fit, and you want to be able to play this to the best of your ability. And so like I feel like I need to have more of that attitude, and I see some people. I won't mention names with that one, but there's people in this community that have that, and I want to be more like them. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's other players that they just play a good game, and I want to take their tips. I was just telling Dave Smith how he does this float, where he can float the pill from the top all the way like it's crazy. And
Mm.
that is one thing that I want to take from him, but I haven't figured it out yet. I'll get there.
Yeah. So, something that's been on my mind this week. Anyone who's familiar with the world of Super Mario World ROM hacks knows Grand Pooh Bear, just a really great streamer personality. And something he said that I very much agree with is that when it comes to speedrunning and video gaming, anybody can do anything. Like, some people are just naturally gifted, but unlike, ultra marathons or being an astronaut, where realistically not everyone can do those things. When it comes to accomplishments in gaming, everyone's kind of capable of the same achievements. I've been wondering, how does that look in the Dr. Mario world? You are a fresher player, and you haven't yet unlocked your full potential, and you're definitely getting up there. Do you think that you can make a run for the top? And are you trying to make a run for the top?
So first and foremost, I am comparing myself to myself at
Mm-hmm.
all times. Like where, yes, I know I'm not top tier, and there are players above me that play better than me, and I'm always aware of that. But I think my current position on the game is trying to beat myself almost. So
Mm-hmm.
like if I have that PB should be demolished within a week. Or I give myself these goals that I want to achieve. And I've been doing that because one of my goals was to actually qualify in a like with a PB. And that was my qualify PB this past month. So I'm meeting the goals for myself. But yes, I'm always looking at um, you know, who's playing and who's doing better in the
Mm-hmm.
scene, and making sure that I can try and hang with them, I guess.
That personal improvement is very important. If you are pushing yourself for a goal, you have to have some sort of checkpoint along the way,
Hmm.
and celebrating every PB, celebrating whatever goals you set for yourself. Uh, that's essential, I think, to the experience and the process of improvement, because you can't just keep pushing yourself and never appreciate how far you've come.
Yeah, this celebrating the how far I come, I do that on a daily basis, because sometimes this game is rough, as we know. Dr. Mario is unforgiving, and if we don't look at how far we've come
Mm-hmm.
in the time that we've been playing, we'll just stop, and we'll just drop the game, and we don't want that. We do love the game. That's why we play it. So, um, but also that personal, looking at my personal goals instead of looking at, okay, well, I know this person's ahead of me in the rankings, so I need to best their PB or whatever. That sometimes is a slippery slope, because if you are always comparing to the next person in line, they're getting better along with you. So you're
Yeah.
always going to be trying to achieve this thing that should never be achievable almost, if that makes sense.
When you consider potential that everyone has, like that's just a tough thing to evaluate. Sometimes the players who are improving just have a little bit more time to invest than the players
Right.
who aren't. There are so many
Yep.
factors that play into the improvement process.
I will say that, like, the limits of this game, I don't think we've reached the limits of the game, and we never really should reach those limits, because I think limits are only in place for the people that believe they exist, you know. And once you see a limit coming up, you get better and you try and get to that limit, but then there's another limit that you can reach because you've had that growth. So
Yeah.
you always have that next goal or that next achievement. I mean, if you consider, like, I'm kind of a nerd in doing this, but if you added all of the fastest times of all the levels 0 to 20, it gets you about a 24-minute 0 to 20.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say that the seeds would allow you to do that, but can we get there? Who knows until we do it. And
Yeah.
so that's what I'm kind of looking for, is just, we don't know how far we can go. We're just getting new players. Like, on the daily, we're getting new people into that community, and we'll never know what they can show us.
Yeah. Personally, I've wondered about the same thing. How close could you get to 24? RNG is a cruel mistress with this game, and I don't know if well, I have serious doubts that a time close to 24 can be achieved, but a time lower than 35 minutes, which is the current
Yes.
world record, I think is definitely in the realm of achievable. And with all of the new players coming, with the new voices popping into Discord saying, "Hey, I didn't know there was a community for this game," it just makes you wonder, like, is one of these players the one who can
Yep.
carry the torch and knock Inari out of the top spot?
I will tell you that that is one of the things I always hope for every time I welcome people into the community, or every time somebody stops by my stream and says, "Oh my God, you play Dr. Mario? I love this game." I am just hoping they will destroy everyone I know right now in the game. You know, like, and that's not to say that, you know, I just hope that there's more skill out there that we just have untapped, so that not only will we get to see how they play, but then the whole community is better off for it, because then we get better and we grow as a combined effort. So
Yeah.
I'm always hoping for that, you know, diamond in the rough that just pops into chat saying, "Oh, Dr. Mario, you play this? I do too." You know? So,
The challenge of speedrunning, I feel, is not the game itself, but the level of competition around it. Because, I mean, Dr. Mario, it's a puzzle solving game, and if you're brand new to it, it'll be pretty tough to figure it out. But I think that most players can manage 20 low after a few tries. The game can be beaten very easily, but the level of competition that we've established for what it takes to get a top 10 time, now that's a lot tougher. And so the game and the challenge of it is as hard as we make it.
I will tell you though that that is one of the things I look forward to the most, is the silver bracket. So the fact that, yes, we have these people who have been playing this a long time, or are, you know, getting really close to being, you know, top tier, what have you. But then those people just look at that being unachievable at this point, and you know, it kind of is at their current level. If we have that silver bracket to where they can still compete, they can still get that edge in the speedrunning capabilities, then they're going to be gold tier in no time. We just need to give them those opportunities, and this is the way to do it. So I am actually really loving that idea and really excited to see what that brings for us.
Yeah, I agree. Like the players who would make the silver bracket, one of the best things that they can do to improve is to get those matches in and have that practice. And
Hmm.
so it would be very self-defeating if only the best players could keep playing each other and improving.
Right.
It's nice that you'll get some iron sharpening iron there.
And I will tell you that I think one of the hardest things for me coming into this community for the first time was I I wasn't a speedrunner. Like I didn't come from, a Legend of Zelda randomizer or a
Mm.
Hydro Thunder or anything like that. I had no grasp of these precious seconds that everybody keeps trying to grab for. And that was kind of the hardest thing, is realizing that each action that you have in this game has a reaction either of drop time or, oh, that's trash that you're going to have to clear up later or something, and having to form my play style around trying to grab those few things. Whereas if you're doing this casually, you don't care. I'll clean that up as I go. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But in the speed running frame of mind, it does. And so it changes everything with how you play. So,
I've noticed that just in your stance on your streams. Some of the earlier streams of Dr. Mario, you were very smiley, a little like jumping up and down when things were going well. But now, like, you've got that gamer pose that a lot of people seem to have in this community.
yeah, that comes with getting into a few matches where you're like, "Oh, I should have done better." And known if you would have done better, that would have meant moving on and around, like, yeah, that comes. That
Yeah.
that that stance comes.
So, what are some of the challenges that you're facing as you seek to improve your times?
Yeah, good question. One of the things that I'm currently working on is, and maybe you can help me on this because you are amazing. I watch your streams and every time I'm just like amazed at how quick you go. Um,
Ah,
but
shucks.
shucks. Uh, but is the difference between drop time and building to make sure that the drop time doesn't exist, if that kind of makes sense. Like
Mm.
I used to not care about drop time, but then we were talking about, before, those precious few seconds, and that adds up. So I never know, is it best to kind of forego drop time in order to build up to where the drop won't happen, or what can you tell me on that?
The long answer I might cut out of the podcast, but the short
Oh,
answer
that's
is
okay.
the short answer I would say is that it very much depends. You can take riskier strategies that forgo the clear that gives you drop time, trying to minimize drop time, but with the pills that you pass up, you might not get the blue that you need for another ten pills, and then that just wastes time. So I also am trying to minimize drop time as I improve my times as well. The drop time that I tend to suffer is in the form of the drill clear.
Mm,
When you clear a virus vertically and you stack the last pill on top of it vertically as well.
hmm.
So whatever garbage you have that falls, it's usually like yellow falling onto yellow. So it's useful garbage, but it's an extra couple seconds of drop time that I just think they really add up,
Hmm.
and it's such a tempting clear because everything ends up where it should be, but it just costs extra time. So
Hmm.
I think drop time is definitely an area that will always be a struggle to improve.
Agreed. That's the thing too, is like when you start going into somebody's stream and you're like, wait, why did they do what? Oh, wait, and trying to kind of it's almost like I wish I had commentary from their brain of the move that they were making, because that's where you can kind of get those, oh, he made that move because he saw that the yellow, he needed access to the yellows underneath, and that sort of thing. But until we have that like brain to brain telepathy,
Neural
I don't
links.
right. Can we do that? Mind meld? But no, that's one of the things that in your stream, I'm not to your level yet. So when I watch you play, I'm still struggling to find the why. But sometimes I get you. So I'm getting there, Influx. I'm getting
Hon-
there.
Honestly, that might be part of what I need to improve is the answering the question why. I have some good setups sometimes, but I went back and watched my matches from last month against Frank in particular, and I didn't recognize any of the decisions I made.
Oh,
I was
wow.
looking at the board as a spectator, and I would have put the pieces in entirely different positions. So I have two different brains. Obviously, when you have the controller in your hands, there's a lot more pressure, and you have to make decisions quickly. And you can't just peruse the whole board like you can when you're just watching. But
Well, and you
uh,
have to be physically present. When
yeah,
you are playing the game, you're actually putting in the inputs into the controller. Whereas when you're a spectator, and I will say I go into people's streams and I'm kind of a vocal spectator. I'm glad that I'm not on microphone sometimes when I watch because I'm like, why'd you do that? What did you do? Like I get really animated at it, and you could probably heard a little bit of it when we were in the versus tournament in Ohio. I get really into it of like, oh, I know that person's in their head. Shake yourself out of it. Or, oh, why'd you drop that? You know better. And, like I'll say it out loud, not realizing I'm actually saying it out loud and that these people are like 5 feet from me can hear me. So, honestly, it's that difference between being physically present with having to do the inputs you need versus just watching, oh, that's what I would do if I had like a perfect controller that never double flipped, a perfect, setup, whatever. So,
yeah. I think that maybe commenting why I'm making moves when I'm making them could help build my own mental endurance.
yeah.
That that might be what it boils down to for me is my decision making quality. The quality of my decision making declines in proportion to the the duration of my session.
Swang does that really well, though. Like Swang is actually one of the people I like watching because he is very transparent about why he's making a specific move, almost to the point. Like I think he had a specific stream where he broke down each and every move. And like, okay, let's talk about this move. Now I see I have that pill coming, so where should I put this one to have the maximum? It was a wonderful thing to watch, and I actually really appreciate watching his streams for that commentation of his own, play style. Plus, he's amazing. So
Yeah. If you're not watching Dr. Mario streams, what are you doing with your life?
that's all I do anymore.
I've said it dozens of times before, but players who want to improve, one of the easiest ways you can do that is by watching other people and seeing what they are doing well and what they're struggling with. And I think that most people in this community are both open enough that they would share their struggles and self-aware enough that they know what they're struggling with the game.
I agree.
But it really is this collective effort of how do we improve the game and how do we improve ourselves in relation to it. I think, though, some players would argue that the best way to improve the game is just to play it on the Super Nintendo.
I'm not one of those individuals, and I'm also Team Fever, so there's two counts against me. So,
I'm Team Chill, for sure,
yep.
all the way.
No, I know I'm kind of a slight minority when it comes to what music I like to play. but it does affect, and in some of my earlier streams I even mentioned this, whenever I play on chill, I used to get into my low average, whereas when that fever comes on, that's when I got my PBs, that's when I did my best. So I think it even affects how I play.
If it works, it works.
I know, right? I'm not gonna change it.
So this month the bracket is tough as ever.
I'm afraid of this month. Honestly, I think it's going to be something to where I I will tell you that even though it's the toughest yet, I feel like I'm more relaxed in a lot of ways because one, I've played Floyd before. Two, I've taken a game from Floyd before. And not to like say, oh, I took a game, I can get him. But I mean, that's basically what it means. I took a game. That means that, three games off of him is in sight. I can do this. And so just knowing that something like can happen makes it that much more likely to happen again.
Yeah. You were up against Floyd for the last 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. What astonishingly bad luck there.
Right? Because speaking of people who are constantly improving and constantly getting better, I feel like Floyd is on the, I'm getting so much better. Like he's the most improved, I feel, over the past few months. Like if you look, with all the PBs he's getting, like on levels and on his 0 to 20, I think he's now in third. Like it's just insane how quickly he's becoming a force to be reckoned with, more so than he already was, which was insane. So
Yeah.
I look forward to going up against him, but I also know that that is going to be a hard match. So
It's so tough as well because this is the last month before the December bracket.
yes, it is.
Floyd is gatekeeping you.
Oh, well, here's the thing. I don't like gates too much, so I tend to just like knock them down. I say that in jest, but I truly hope that to give him a run for his money. I do hope to with the 6 to 8, that's the most RNG heavy, so hopefully RNG is in my favor that night.
Yeah. If I make it farther into the bracket, who knows? But maybe I'll see you there. I hope to.
Oh
at
yeah,
least.
you know it. And honestly, we might still get that Ibar Betty B match in round 2. So just you wait.
Well, Betty, thanks for joining me on the podcast. It was great having you.
Thank you so much, Influx. It's a pleasure.
And as always, thanks everyone for listening. Until next week, in Dr. Mario and in life, bless RNG.